us about winning. We're a winning program, and that's what we want to do. We want to win, no matter what it takes.
So on my side, we need to get after them straight away.
We're aiming to be a championship team. We're aiming to be the very top. This isn't now about us participating. This is about us winning. Get used to winning, guys.
Myerscough 3, 1, 2, 3.
Myerscough! Yeah!
Welcome back in for episode 42 of Scough the Podcast, where we highlight the accomplishments and share the stories of the Myerscough Basketball Academy's student athletes, both past and present, as well as those who have helped build what the program has become thus far. However you are listening and however you found us, whether it's your first time tuning in or if you've been with us since the start, thank you for making us a small part of your day. I'm your host, Alan Gunn, and this week I'm joined by Myerscough Basketball Class of 2024's Daniel Nwauzu. We'll learn about his 3-year journey at the Academy, leading up to his recent commitment to JUCO program, North Plate Community College. Let's get over to Dan.
This is a battle. You have to be ready to battle.
Hey, let's go.
40 minutes.
That's it. Hey, let's go. That's it. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Myerscough 3, 1, 2, 3.
Myerscough.
I am pleased to be joined now by Myerscough guard and hopeful, obviously going through the recruiting process right now, Dan Nwauzu. So, Dan, thank you for taking the time to chat.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good. I know we've talked a handful of times, but it's good to finally sit down and hear kind of more about you, learn about you, and what you've been getting up to the last 3 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I guess just the best place to start is obviously, you're a Derby native, but for you, what did basketball look like for you? How'd you kind of get into that sport?
Initially, my sister used to play basketball, and so I was just out most of their games. And then one of the coaches at Trailblazers, the club here in Derby, told me to come down. But then, I wasn't really messing with it, so I kind of stopped for a few years. Then I got back into it and joined the club that I played for most of my junior career at Spartans, with most of the guys at Myerscough, who are still there now. So that was good. And then my coach introduced me to some of the coaches around England, and then ended up at Myerscough. So that's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, and I guess Myerscough for you, what was it like? Obviously Derby's got a great academy in terms of, what they've built, the Trailblazers. But for you, what was it about Myerscough that, really jumped out to you when you learned about the program and, spoke to the coaching staff?
Before, I knew anything about Myerscough, my coach was good friends with Neil. I'm pretty sure they were good friends. Yeah, and then I knew about all the success Myerscough had, and that was really attractive to me. But initially it was between Myerscough and Charnwood I was set between, but I think Myerscough was just the right fit for me, type of thing.
Yeah, and what is it about that fit that you noticed was something that would be not just beneficial for your next step in your basketball career, but just growth, development, and academics as well? Being
a little scrawny little 14, 15-year-old, I didn't really know much about, I wasn't overly skilled or the best basketballer, but I knew at Myerscough, I'd spoke with Neil, I spoke with Mike, I spoke with Troy. I knew that they were down to get me right. I didn't really feel that with any of the other coaches I'd spoken to.
I guess the one thing I have to ask is, you go to Myerscough and it's, I guess if you're committing your time to go to a basketball academy, you've got interest, in either pursuing the sport. What were your goals going to the academy? You had mentioned that you'd kind of stopped playing a little bit and didn't know, what you wanted to do with the sport, and then got back into it. But for you, what were your initial goals that you had set out for yourself when you went to Myerscough, for the first year or even before?
My goals, I'd say throughout, just getting to a place where I can confidently say I play basketball, I'm good at playing basketball, and going to the States and playing there as well. I feel that's been pretty much my goal from the start. Being able to move on from here, move on from playing in England to playing somewhere else. I think that was one of my biggest goals.
Yeah, and it's one that you've been working on, and one that took you. You spent 3 years at Myerscough. Just kind of walk me through what it was like that first year. You're new on campus. Who are some of the guys that are there that jump out to you in terms of role models, but guys that you're looking up to hopefully be in their position one day? Is there any guy, it doesn't have to be someone that was there, right then, but it could be an alumni, just someone that jumps out to you that, was part of that journey for you of saying, okay, that's where I want to be. Is there a person that stands out to you?
Yeah, well, on my visit, actually, I trained with Great and Frank, and me being like this skinny little, it's like 15-year-old, like getting dunked on every possession. Like it was quite like eye-opening, and I could see them, and I could see like where I was and where they were, and I was like, it was kind of like inspired me, I guess, from even that 1.5 hour session training with them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, obviously we've seen, the progression that he's had. Now, when you keep up with, some of the guys that have come through the program and look and see where they've gone to since leaving the program, obviously Myerscough is one part of that. How does that kind of, make you evaluate how much you're going to need to put into it to get out what you want out of the academy?
Well, I knew from the start, like it wasn't like from my first year, I knew that I was gonna have to work to like get to where I was like where I wanted to be. Because I like my first year, I kind of had expectations to be better than I was playing. Like I was put on the first team straight away, and like I was expected to play a lot better than I was playing. So it wasn't really good. Like I would say it was a good year for me, but I'm not sure like if I made the most of like my time. So coming into like my second or my third year, I knew that I was gonna have to put in like a lot more work, and which I can say like I did.
Yeah, and I assume that, the coaching staff is there. They're going to hold you to a certain level of expectation of what they want to see out of you if you want to contribute. I mean, obviously, we can talk about stats and things like that, but, you got to have time on the court, and to earn your time on the court, you've got to work hard. So what was it like being pushed by the coaching staff? Was it difficult? Is it something that you wanted? What kind of a player are you in terms of like, how are you best coached, do you feel?
I feel like me personally, like I like it when coaches like get on to me about certain things. Like Neil was like a really good example. Like he won't hold back. If you're doing something wrong, he'll get on to you for it. And I feel like that's like the best way I can be coached, because it allows me like to not be like laid back or like coasting. Because like if a coach is getting on to you, like especially Neil or like Troy, they're gonna get on to you like really hard. So I feel like over my time, that's been like a really good like style of coaching for me.
Yeah, and bring in Mike. You're someone that's probably worked with Mike as more of like that inside player. But for you, what's it kind of been like having different coaching styles to get and learn from? How is that? Do you feel has been beneficial for you?
Yeah, I feel like it's been really beneficial. Like for Mike, I'd say like he's probably like been there from the start and helped me through that inside game, as you said, because he's been there and he's walked the walk. So he's been like that guy. If I needed help on the inside, or if I just needed help like about life, I would go to Mike and like ask him certain questions or like ask him for advice. But I feel like the coaching style is like being able to like go from a coach that will push you really hard to a coach like Mike that will like talk you through certain things. I feel like it's been really good.
With Mike being a big, what is something that, you've picked up from each kind of coach in terms of, obviously Mike has worked a lot with, some great players that have come through the academy, whether it's like, like Edo, you've obviously had Amari, Fajana has come through. We'll talk about it later about Brian, but what is it about Mike and, kind of learning from him that is, he's obviously a player's player. So that's kind of how he coaches. And that's something that he tries to, he approaches coaching as a player. So for you to learn from him and, what's something that, he's taught you that is you're going to just take with you from Myerscough?
I feel like all the coaches have taught me to like take my time with things. And that's not even just like basketball. It's like, just like throughout life. Like he's taught me to like be patient. Like if I've got the ball, like scan, look at different options, like just like survey what's going on around me. And that's not just even like basketball. It's just like be patient in like your life and what you're doing type thing.
Your second year again is, how different is it from first year to second year? Because I guess, you've been thrust into that first team in your first year, but you've realized, okay, I've got to raise my level to stay here and to hopefully get out of this academy journey what I want. What was it like in your second year, kind of moving into that? And, did you notice a difference in how you were playing? And just kind of how did you manage those expectations from year one to year two?
I feel like there was like a big difference with how I was playing. I was playing with like more confidence in my second year. I feel like, I don't know if that's because like I grew up and or I knew what was gonna come that season, but I feel like I gained a lot of confidence throughout my second year, and like playing with some of the guys I played with, like that gave me confidence as well.
Who were the guys that you played with that year? That's the year with Brian and Zeki still?
No, my second year I was playing with like some like the twins and like some like Devontae. He pushed me in practice, obviously being like another big. And I feel like in my second year I had like more expectations to perform, like being like in under 18s, being like the older group of under 18s. I feel like I had more pressure on me than my first year because I just came in. And I feel like that was good for me. Like that pressure, that expectation I had was good for me.
And with that pressure, obviously some of that's put on you, wanting to, be successful. How much of the pressure kind of comes from the coaching staff, but like how is it good pressure do you feel when they are seeing in you that you should be able to, reach a certain level within your own ability?
Yeah, I feel like any pressure is good pressure because it's like they know you can be better than how you are. So I feel like they have like faith or like belief in you that I could be better. Because if you're coaching someone and you don't put like any pressure on them or any expectations, it's like they don't really they don't think you can be better than how you're playing. So I think the pressure that was on me, I feel like it was good. Like I like that pressure.
Year 3, we got to talk about year 3 because obviously that's the year. First, kind of walk me through what the end of year 2 looks like for you, because a lot of times that's when you're either maybe looking to go to university in the UK, you're maybe going to move over to, the US. For you, what was that back end of that second year like? And were you, happy with where you were? Were you, trying to, maybe get the last little bit out of that season? What was it like for you that back into that second year, kind of moving into the off season?
At the end of my second year, we had a lot of like significant like losses. So we lost in under 18s in the second round of the playoffs, and obviously the EABL finals we lost in. We didn't do great in the EYBL super finals, so I didn't want to leave on like those losses, if that makes sense. And I was still like in like June, July, I still like didn't know what I wanted to do. But the coaches were like, they were confident saying that if I came back, that it would be like a good year for me. So yeah, I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah, and you got to kind of trust what they're saying to you as well. How much of that has been important, developing a relationship with, both or with all the coaches that, they're trying to find your best interest for your, for your development, but also to help you reach your goals, because, I think that's what they're trying to do as best they can, is give you a platform, not only to have success there, but also to set you up, for that next season. What kind of conversations were you having with them to come back for that third year, and maybe how important that third year was going to be for you?
Yeah, well, like, if I wanted to go to uni, I feel like they would have supported me in that. But like with saying that, they wanted me to come back to Myerscough, of course, and I feel like they trust like the relationship I had with Troy. Like Troy's like one of the guys. Like he's like one of us. So I feel like speaking to him about it was easier because he would speak to me like not like I was like his like he was the mentor and I was the student. He would speak to me like we were like boys. So I feel like that was like a good relationship to have with Troy.
Yeah, I mean, Troy's someone, obviously, he's taken the bulk of your coaching, this past year particularly. What's it been like, learning from him? You guys have had, some pretty good success, obviously, within the EABL. You had success making another super final in the EYBL. And then, D2 was maybe not the season that you guys would have wanted, from a results standpoint, but you clearly got a lot out of those 3 seasons. For you, how important was that? And did that kind of validate your coming back for year 3?
Yeah, well, of course, it feels like great to have the individual like results that I had this year, and it makes me feel like I came back and I didn't waste the opportunity that I had. Because if I didn't come back, I would always be wondering like, what if I did go back? So like now that I came back and I put in the work and I got something out of it, it feels like I didn't do it all for nothing type type of thing.
Let's talk about that year 3. Obviously, we see this explosion in production, whether it's, points, rebounds, minutes, everything across the board. Obviously, you get, you have an insane, near 40-point game out in the EYBL, which is the best performance anyone's had, in a Myerscough uniform. You're a first team all conference in the EABL. You're like second, I believe, in rebounds in the men's division. Talk to me through that. How much is that confidence and how much is that just the work that you've put in, coming to fruition over the first 2 years particularly?
Yeah, I feel like Troy's had a big part of that, like just Troy and Mike actually just like believing in me and like speaking me through different things, having like different meetings with them. Yeah, it's confidence as well. Like some days I'll have bad games, but I always knew like that it was just like I'll get back to it. I think most of my success came from like my confidence and the confidence that the coaches and my teammates like instilled in me. And that, like, I had a job to do. Like, I feel like I had, like, a role to carry out. And this year, like, carried out quite well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can tell by the stats. We can tell by, the individual accolades that you received. For you to, what does it mean to be an EABL all-conference player, to you, to be on that first team? What does that mean for you and just kind of your accomplishment?
It feels great because, like, since I was, like playing back here in Derby, I've been watching EABL. And since like Gray and Frank, and when they had their like crazy year that was like cut short by COVID, like I've been watching it since then, and it just feels like you watch something and then like now that I'm in it, it just feels great. Like yeah, feels awesome.
And you're ultimately going to be part of the Myerscough alumni, that kind of fraternity of players. When you've spoken about it before, having done a workout with Great, what was it like? Obviously you didn't get to play with him, but what was it like to be around someone that you might see has that like, or you can see has that little potential in him that could get him to have basketball take him very far? What's it like to be part of this Myerscough family?
It feels great. Like having people to look up to, it's always a good thing because it like allows you to see like inspiration for what I want to do and what they're doing. It's like I want to kind of like be where they are, so now I can like compare and see like the work I need to put in and like how much time I need to dedicate to basketball and to the gym, and to see like how great they're doing now, how like great Amari, people like that, how good they're doing now. It's just like, and they came from the same place that I'm coming from. It's just it feels good. You've
mentioned Brian, when we spoke before, you mentioned Zeki. What's it like having them as well, because they're still in the process. Greats, and Amari are now almost at the end of their process, but then you've got Zeki, Brian, who are kind of moving to that next stage from the JUCO level. That's the path that you're hopefully going to go down as well. What's the conversations been like with them in terms of knowing that that's the right route for you, and just how important have they been to your development, kind of throughout this process?
In my first year, Brian would play a lot and I wouldn't play a lot. So I was like, I kind of like watched him and see what he did well. Same with Zeki, I saw what they did well, and I kind of like tried to instill that into my game. And like the morning sessions with Mike, waking up at like 7:15, he would be training all of us bigs, and Brian would be there and he would be helping us out, like us younger guys out. So I feel like that's like, I'm really grateful for that. And obviously Zeki, I've been talking to him about the process next, and he's been really helpful with that as well.
And what's that process been like for you? Obviously, you come in with the expectation that hopefully one day, within the academy setup, you're going to be able to progress to, being recruited by coaches to go play in America. How difficult is it of a process for, how difficult of that process was that for you? Because obviously you're going to have coaches messaging, asking things, and it kind of puts you under that microscope of, okay, now I have to look at myself, look at my game, where my deficiencies are. What was that like for you to, go through the process? Obviously, you're still within that process, but for what was that like?
I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. Like, obviously, I realized the coaches were watching me, and then I put more pressure on myself. But there's been some coaches that have been out there that have been like helping me through it, like throughout the whole season. Like, obviously, I've spoken about Jacob Brandel before, but he's been helping me a lot. And like different coaches I've been trying to put out where I could be better and like what I'm doing well. and they've been speaking me through that as well. So it's been good. It's been good over the year, I'd say.
And you've mentioned Coach Brandel, but obviously, things still in the air with regards to recruitment, and obviously he's moved on to a new school. But for you, how important is that coach relationship? Obviously, you've mentioned it previously with Neil, Mike, Troy, and the coaching staff at Myerscough. But how important has your coach relationship been, throughout your basketball career? Going back to Derby, what's that been like for you to build those relationships with coaches? How does that help your game?
Having a good relationship with a coach, I feel like, is one of the most important things that you could have. Because if you don't have a good relationship with a coach, I feel like you can't be coached as well as you could be if you did have a good relationship with them. So like Troy and like Neil, I've had a good relationship with them my 3 years here. And that's why I feel like I've been able to get the most out of my time here.
So many players come to Myerscough with certain goals. How have they been able to help people on a day-to-day manage their own expectations? Because, every player comes in at a different, stage of their development. You're someone that's put in the first team, right away. For you to kind of see other players, how are they able to help players manage expectations and understand that there is a pathway? You're someone that's a great example of that. You might be in the first team, but you're gonna have to work at it, and you might have to be a backseat to a second or third year guy that's having a lot of success. But how important is it to see that guy in front of you having that success, knowing what it's going to take? What's that been like?
Yeah, the coaches, they keep it real. Like if they don't have nothing going on, they're more than happy to like work out with certain guys, or like speak to certain guys, have meetings, or like even go over like video or like game film with guys. That'll take like an hour, 2 hours. So I feel like they're really good at what they do, because they keep it real with like everyone, no matter what team you're on.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's what you want to hear. You want, the coaching staff. Obviously, there's upwards of like 60 players at the academy at any given time, and that's a huge number for a coaching staff of 5 or 6 guys, including S&C and some of the lecturers. But for you, what's it been like? When you look back at your time at Myerscough, what's going to stand out to you, whether it be your experience being able to play in the EYBL and travel, your ability to be around the guys in the blocks, eating, what's going to be that thing that really stands out to you about this part of your, your journey?
The connections I've made and like the friends I've made, I don't think like they're gonna, like my friends I've made are gonna be in my life for a very long time. And it's so like at Myerscough, there's not much to do, like unless you want to go like see some horses or something. So being with the right type of people, like that'll make it more fun than it appears to be, I feel like is like a really good thing. Like in my first year, I had some friends like Ari Davudi. He was like really good friend. Like other friends that like made my time at Myerscough more than just like straight basketball. They took like my mind away from basketball and like put on like actual like living life.
And I got to ask about that, because when you're at Myerscough or when you're at any kind of academy, whether it's in the UK or anywhere, you're pretty much consumed by basketball a majority of the time. How are you able to, like you say, take that break? How are you able to stay motivated with basketball when you're around it so much? Like, what things are you able to do? What did you do specifically to keep basketball like fun? Because that's when you're there, 5 days a week training, and you got games on the weekend. How are you managing that and keeping basketball highly motivated for you?
Yeah, I feel like you have to find that balance, or you're just gonna end up like losing your mind, because like basketball is like not just like physically like taxing. It's like it's a mental game as well. So if you don't find that balance, I feel like it's gonna be hard. But for me, I took like me and my friends would like just do like kid stuff. Like in my first year, we played hide and seek a lot. It's like in the middle of the night, random stuff like that. I feel like that's good to like take your mind off of things for a bit, instead of just like being in your room or being in the gym or being on the court all the time. I feel like having like that balance is really good.
You got to travel, you were in the EYBL 2 years. You probably got to do a couple of the other trips with regards to going to like Holland. What's it been like having that experience as well? I mean, you've gotten to go see, Estonia, you've gotten to see Latvia. So for you, obviously it's tied to basketball, but you still get the ability to get out there, and see Europe as a basketball player between 16 and 19. So for you, what's that experience been like? And, what are you going to remember from those trips?
Yeah, traveling is like, I feel like I like traveling a lot. So like those trips like Estonia or Latvia or like even Spain, went to Spain recently and that was really good. But I feel like those trips, it allows you to like see, we're in England all the time, so it allows you to like see other places in the world and like see how they live and how they eat and how they do everything, play basketball, everything. So I feel like that's like, it's been like eye-opening, like wherever we've been.
Oh, that's awesome. And, is there any stage that stands out to you? Obviously Spain's not, what'd you go, Lanzarote, so that's not a bad destination. I saw, the stories, and you guys are able to, enjoy the pool, and you're able to enjoy just kind of almost that resort feel and being together. How important is it that, to have those experiences with that team? And, is that something that, whilst the basketball is great, is that something that's going to almost stand out a little bit more just for the fact that you've had experiences with, the guys that you're going to have friends, as like you say, for life?
Yeah, for sure. Like being in Spain or even being in Estonia, I like Estonia a lot. But being in like Spain or Estonia or Latvia, it's like we did things that I'd be telling my kids about in like 20 years, like stuff like that. So I feel like it's really good. And having those like that time with your team and like bonding with them, it makes your team like stronger and just little stuff like that.
Well, the future and Mrs. Nwauzu is going to be very happy that you're going to have kids. So let me. So, what was it? You mentioned the food. We always kind of joke about the food because we had Amari on last week, and the first time Amari went out to Estonia, all he ate was brioche and bread. So for you, what was it like going out there, having the food out there? It's a little different. How'd you adjust to being out there in Europe and having those meals and things like that? How'd you adjust to that?
Yeah, this is actually a hot take, but I actually really enjoyed the food, like especially in like Estonia. Like I actually like the food a lot, but most of my teammates weren't messing with it, so they would just go to like the little supermarket and just like load up on snacks. But I like the food there. I like the thing I didn't like was like the weather. The weather was like always cold, always snowy, or like rainy. Like I wasn't really messing with that, but everything else was good. Like I had some good times there. Yeah. For sure.
It's the cabbage slaw. That's like the cabbage slaw is like the best thing, right?
With every meal, no doubt you're gonna get that cabbage.
It's so good though. Like I can't find that anywhere else. Like I've never been able to, anywhere I've gone, I'm like, yeah, they might have it, but I've never found it anywhere else other than like Latvia, Estonia. It's always there.
Yeah.
And I guess just to finish off, for you, you're kind of in this middle period. What's keeping you going at this point to make sure that you are primed and ready for the next phase of your career, whether that's JUCO, which is, what you're aiming for. What are you working on?
Well, I've had a goal set out from the start, as I've said. So I'm just working towards that goal and like trying to keep focused, like trying to keep my eyes set straight. And I feel like people around me are really helping me with that, like not messing with the wrong people or like being in the wrong type of environment. So yeah, I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for like the coaches helping me. Yeah, I've got a lot to look forward to, so I'm excited for it.
You've been through 2 kind of off seasons at Myerscough. That's almost the time, more so than during the season, that you really need to kind of buckle down, focus. You're going to have the Hoops Fix All-Star game coming up soon. There's still hope. I mean, I don't know if you're going to try and go out for some of the GB teams this year, but for you, how important, now that you've been through 2 cycles, is it to take advantage of the time between May and, the end of the season, when school officially kind of breaks off?
Yeah, I feel like this is like the time where like you don't have games, you don't really have nothing going on. So I feel like this is like the most like important time to like really like dial in and focus on, especially like the things that you like need to work on. For me, the things I need to work on. I feel like it's a great time. It's a great time for me to like really like lock in and like trying to like improve on what I can improve on in this short amount of time.
Are you guys still doing like the King of the Court 1-on-1?
Yeah, we always try to play as much as we can, and like competition between our team and stuff has gone a bit escalated at some points, but I can't complain.
We had, obviously Neil was on last week, prior to Amari, and they were talking, and Bradley Caboza was someone that said, those King of the Court 1-on-1 sessions are, kind of what made Amari Williams. So talk to me kind of about king of the court, and who are some of the guys that are you one of the guys that everyone's trying to knock off the perch?
Yeah, I'd say like I feel like me and like Tyrese, we push each other, and Tyrese always pushes like the other guys to get better. But I feel like the whole team, anyone can like step up and just like knock everyone else off. So I feel like there's not like someone who's always at the top or someone who's always at the bottom. I feel like it's really competitive between like everyone in our team. Even like the under 18 guys, they get involved, and it's always competitive. So
yeah, and it's going to help people get better, because you'll when you're in there, you got guards against bigs in 1v1, and it's so that's just totally building skills, it's making people, like you say, a little tougher like on the court. But give me a story. What's a story of PG rated, I guess, for Neil and all them that you can think of that really stands out to you as like, wow, man, it's gotten heated, but this is awesome. Like, this is why we're in here.
I remember at the start of the year, I think it was either a one-on-one or like I think it was one-on-one actually. And we had like the bigs, like the forwards at one end and the guards at one end. And it was me against like another big on our team called 30. And I scored on him and I threw the ball at his head. But I didn't mean to throw the ball at his head. But then everyone got like a bit heated. Like, so I went up to him at the end and just like, yo, like I didn't mean to do that. Just in case like he wanted to start and fight me or anything like that.
Well, it's good to see you're still teammates and you're both still here with us.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, it's awesome to talk to you. Obviously, I've been following along with you and been watching the games and things like that. But you truly are like, when I look at Myerscough, you are like the prototypical person that I would see using the academy to their benefit on and off the court. You're someone with the right mindset. So I hope to see you over here, stateside, next season. Again, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's go. Myerscough free. 1, 2, 3.
Myerscough! Yeah!
That's it for episode 42. A huge thank you to Dan for taking the time to chat, and we look forward to watching his development over the coming years as he preps to make the academic and athletic move to the United States collegiate setup. As always, you can follow Myerscough Basketball on Twitter at my_bball, on Instagram at Myerscough_basketball, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Myerscough College Basketball. You can find all the latest news, features, and more information about the Academy over on our website, which is www.myerscoughbasketball.co.uk. Like what you've heard today, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out all the previous episodes. Your support is greatly appreciated. Feel free to get in touch with the show across any of our social media platforms or through the Academy's website. Until next time, have a great day.